Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, January 7th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Right off the bat, want to say happy Monday and also invite you to the monthly market outlook for January 2019. The first of the year will be later on this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. So right after the market closes, we'll jump on at 3:30 and go from there. For the most part, we're going to be doing kind of the normal format, looking through the various futures markets, giving a little more of a long-term view to start the year, and looking at various futures markets in terms of gold and others as well. And also, we'll be looking for opportunities to start the year. And again, with the current market, this is going to be an important time to kind of find the best of breed if you're looking for long-term longs, or this will be a great one here to find additional shorts and maybe some short-term swing ideas. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and take a look now at the ES in a daily time frame. You'll notice here that Friday's market was a very positive market, especially for a Friday, a big swing higher. It held the 2430, 2450 zone after the recent pop higher. That was impressive as well. And we are now heading higher toward the FOMC key level that we talked about last week, 2586 half. The only thing we're watching for right now is, will today be a failure? It's already failing to hold above the previous highs. It's testing the previous session's close. Any failure to hold the previous month's close here would open up more weakness, and perhaps that opens up selling pressure. But typically speaking, after a big day up like this, you'll see some sort of pullback, perhaps toward the midpoint of last week's range, which would be 2488, 2489. And from there, bulls would look to defend as low as that for a continuation higher. So here's the midpoint right there, maybe the top end of the Thursday highs. That could provide a buying opportunity for a continuation and a completion of that move at 2586 half. So that's the idea right now, looking to see how this behaves off this zone. Overall, the flow is to the upside, but once it hits a certain spot, it could be headed back down again on a longer term basis, unless it can continue to hold the 2529 level. So getting back above that level and holding would suggest more upside. Any rejection or failure to hold above that zone could open up much more weakness on a medium term basis. Alright, let's take a look now at the NQ. Very similar behavior here, a nice rally on Friday, big continuation to the upside, and now holding in the upper edge, or the upper half of the Friday range. That's the upper quartile. For the most part, right now price is holding below the previous session's high, and it's hit that 64, 62 level several times here and dropped back down, and now it's again testing the previous close from below. So again, those are usually signals that more downside may be ahead toward the midpoint, which would be about 6,300 evens. You have the previous Thursday high right there as well. So theoretically speaking, this market can drop here and still be bullish for a continuation higher in the near term. Remember, we're trying to see if this thing can grab the 65, 93, 25s. These have been the FOMC key levels that we've seen here. It's basically lower each of these last times, and that would normally suggest more weakness. Even if this are hit, it would suggest more weakness ahead unless price can push through and make that resistance become support. Alright, let's take a look now at crude oil. Now crude here is pushing higher. This is the biggest move higher that we've seen since the big down move. You can see that from this low here, 42.30s or so. You got a high here near 50, 49.50. That's a pretty solid up move there. This was mostly sideways, 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 right, sideways, sideways. This whole drop down. The last time we saw a move that was that decent was right in the zone, right before the drop. So a pretty decent move so far. The one level to watch here, I say, is 49.17. That is composite VPOC. in the 5-year. And for the most part, price held above it, then took it offered, and is now trading below it and retesting from below. Typically speaking, bears would keep it offered and continue trading here for a shot lower. If price pushes back above that zone and holds, then you're trading back to the recent high, 55, and trading up here again. So that is, I believe, a major pivot there. And at the moment, showing some rejection at that level and the previous high, which is 49.22. That's a zone for absorption today. Bears will be looking to keep that offered for a shot at returning this back down within the current overall downtrending market. Holding this zone, though, would switch things up and could extend this thing back toward 55s. All right, let's take a look at gold futures. You'll see here with gold, this has been a very, very bullish market. About as bullish as it comes. That's why I mentioned before, if you're going to take it short, you got to take what the market gives you in that current market. And then from there, bulls have been able to get it back up very quickly. These one-day down moves, have usually been followed by a quick continuation higher the next day. You're already seeing that happen. The Pima trigger zone came back and defended, bulls defended off that area. You can see here the top end of the pivot range not yet tested, so there could be a double dip and then go. This is a rather wide pivot range for the month, and that's because this market was straight up throughout December, and typically speaking you can see some compression due to that fact, and overall it wouldn't surprise me if we double dipped a little bit lower and went sideways. So again, this market right now very intense to the upside, will likely continue going up, and any sideways could build fuel for a continuation higher as well. So we'll see how this continues to play out as it chops around value, which is the main reason why I think we could go sideways here for the most part, is we've reached value ever since we found that low and taken that area offered, tried to hold it here. We've now come back to it, and once you come back to it, there's a tendency to chop around it. Again, wide pivot range. It wouldn't surprise me if we went sideways or perhaps sideways to up this month here after this recent rally. All right, that is it for now. Remember, later on this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Central, I will be hosting the PivotBoss monthly market outlook, and I'll also take your requests if you have anything you want me to take a look at, and we'll do that later on. Everyone, good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room.